It's because we're not utilizing crouch block. It's a lot of walking back and forth, right? You're walking into spaces, but the thing is that when you're walking into these spaces, you're not really checking or walking in with a button. So what happens is when you walk in like this, it gives him the room to try and check you. So on today's video, we're going to be watching a Cammy player do their thing. Let's see the things that we can improve upon, especially when we now have replay takeovers. So while we're playing here, I think one thing to note here is that we need to be careful how we're walking back and forth, right? When we're walking back and forth, we want to make sure that we're walking back and forth kind of with a purpose, looking for them to press a button. But the way we're going about walking back and forth here kind of just feels like we're just going for it, and we're not really standing at the right places. We're kind of just walking back and forth because we can walk back and forth, as opposed to looking for a specific option, right? Because if we were looking for walking back and forth, if we were using it in a manner that we're looking for a specific option, we would know that steady medium kick is definitely one of the options that they want to press in this range. So we don't necessarily want to be standing right outside of it to get hit here. So that was a good whiff punish. We're moving up forward with it. Nice. We're getting a lot of, but here it feels as though we're walking back on our offense a lot, and we can be taking a lot of ground that we've taken. Like here, we don't necessarily need to walk back. Like at this point, we got to remind ourselves that this is Bison. So what that means is that he doesn't have a wake up option. So let's say he decides to wake up with drive reversal. Now he comes off a 2 meter and just does great life to you. It's not really a concern to you as of yet, so you can decide to take your turn as opposed to walking back. Okay, this is another situation here where you decided to not take your Oki afterwards. Okay, so one thing that I'm noticing is that we're hyper focusing on whiff punishing, and while again this is not a bad thing, but this is something where you need to do it in certain realms and certain spaces. If you decide to just fully commit to that the entire time, then you're not really getting your offense started, and your opponent's going to do to you before you do it to them. So instead of waiting for them, we go for our low forward drive rush, and then we force a guess upon them. Since we have nearly full meter anyway, might as well force them into that situation as opposed to waiting to get hit by either low forward, crouching medium kick drive rush, or crouching medium punch drive rush, and then now you have to hold this mix, right? And his is a lot scarier because you can die a lot quicker, like so. So if you clicked on this video, I'm sure you need some help. Lord knows I did at some point. But here's the thing, you want your favorite content creators to come and help you, but let's be real, they're charging like $60 per hour. You don't need that, but when I got you good. Over on this channel, I do free coaching sessions on Tuesdays and on Thursdays at 6:30 p.m. EST. So what does that look like? I essentially go over your matches. I can give you tools so that you can succeed the next time you open up rank. So once again, join my Discord. Wait till I'm live either on Tuesdays or on Thursdays 6:30 p.m. EST. Be there or be square. And yeah, I'm not your favorite pro, but I'm available. Those pros are not available. So once again, join the live, get better, and I'll help you improve. Back to the video. Okay, that's a good DP. Now we want to, whoa! I was going to say, now we want to play a little bit slower. Reason being we want to play a little bit slower is because we've spent the EXDP, but look how much drive gauge we have now, right? There's not too many options that he can do out of this position. So after you DP in this situation here, it would be advised to hold this ground and then try and force a situation that way, as opposed to just going in the entire time, right? Then hold your ground. That way, in the case that you're holding your ground, you can survive the instance. Granted, him going for this is a little bit more scary than one would like to appreciate, but regardless, it will definitely allow you to survive situations a lot better. So the main thing that I'm seeing is the fact that we're kind of very passive on offense here. We're looking for option things to whiff punish, and when they come, we're not even pressing anything into them. So let's suppose we're in this situation here and we're trying to get the whiff punish on the standing medium kick, okay? So when we're in neutral here, we should be looking for opportunities to try and punish this standing medium kick. Granted, it is a little bit harder to do, but that should ideally be your goal in these situations, because when you're standing walking back and forth like this, that's what ideally you should be looking for, right? Take your turn and then go from there, right? Those are the moments that you should be looking for. So off of this instance, you took your turn. Yep. Oh, hold on. We can also use the new frame meter system. So off of this instance, you should be able to get a confirm off of like so, right? Right, that way you get a lot of value out of your moves and you hurt them a lot harder, especially because these trades are really important when you're looking for opportunities. So while going for a trade, try to look for opportunities to get that going, okay? Just because you don't know doesn't mean that you shouldn't try and press your crouch strong. Your crouch strong is a very strong normal, and you should be trying to get it whenever you can. So this is a reoccurring thing that we're seeing here, is the fact that we're walking back and we're not using our meter first. I'm not sure if our whole goal here is to get the whiff punish immediately, but the thing is that if your opponent's not giving you anything, then feel free to buffer and drive rush. There were how many punches of these that you went for that you could have drive rushed off of, but you chose not to, just simply because you did, right? So let's suppose we're in this situation here and then we take our turn, right? We find opportunities to go for a low forward, right? And then when we're pressing low forward, we want to make sure that we're buffering it in. All right, that way whenever you're put in these situations, if you happen to touch them, you will get the drive rush. Even if you miss, you'll get the drive rush if you put in the parry input. So this is what I'm doing. I'm pressing crushing medium pig into drive rush into parry. If I don't touch anything, I don't get anything, but if I touch them, then I get something, right? And then you can take your turn from there and start your offense from there, right? But the key is to make sure that you're getting those hits and you're converting it into something. Let's say if they happen to be blocking at the time, then you can convert into stand jab into a throw or something of that nature, right? We don't want to just keep pressing the button and not get any value from it just because you're just simply pressing it. You have more than enough drive gauge to do so, so you want to be making sure to take the offense to them. This is a no bueno. The reason why is because you want to put them in the corner, okay? You made a huge error. You want to prioritize. If it's not going to kill them, you prioritize your positioning, right? And obviously, the back throw position is a lot stronger than having their back to the neutral, okay? And you're dead. Yes, yes. So what could we have done in this situation to make it a little bit better for ourselves? Number one, we need to do a little bit better at checking drive rush here, right? It was a very late one. When going for checks on drive rushes, you can also mix it between crushing medium punch, which you did, but you did do a little bit late. But if you feel a little bit slow in your reactions for the day, sometimes that's a very plausible thing. If you feel a little bit slower in your reactions, then you should be going for a stand light kick. Makes it a little bit easier, gives you a little bit more time, right? And it also is spacing dependent on where you are on the map, right? So let's suppose from where he did it, it may be a little bit easier to go for stand light kick as a reaction. as opposed to crouching medium punch. Although crouching medium punch definitely can be a thing, you might sometimes want to just go for the light kick punish because it gives you more than enough time to react to something, right? And then you get your offense from there, right? That's the key part about all of this. You want to make sure that you give yourself more than enough time, depending on how you're feeling that day. Your reactions might be super sharp or super weak, and if you know that they're feeling a little bit weak, you want to press something that'll give you a little bit more of an advantage, okay? After that, you're pretty much dead, so, you know. Again, more of the walking back and not really taking any space. Unfortunately, when we play this passive, you're giving your opponent more than enough room and space to do whatever they want to you. Okay, we take our turn here. I like this, right? We get our good hit here. The only thing I don't like about this is that the way it looks, it doesn't look like you're hit confirming this. It looks like you're going into it directly. And the worry is that the moment you touch or you connect, you're going into it immediately, which means that if they happen to block that situation, which is very plausible they do, right? Then you just get punished for it and you're taking on unnecessary damage. That's why off of this situation, using drive rush will circumvent this, because if you get the hit, you get a whole combo. If you're wrong and they're blocking, then you can force a mix up. That's uber plus, right? We want to make sure that we're not pressing on this situation because he's +5 and right in your face. Ideally, you don't want to be pressing there. Right? If you wanted to take a chance, let's say he did just raw back heavy kick. If that's the case, then like if you want to take your chances there, sure, you want to gamble there, that's sure, you want to gamble catch jab, that's fine. But when he's +5, that's not the place where you want to be pressing. That's what I'll say. That was a good reversal. Mash, I have no issues with people going for mash sometimes. It's a good option to show. Oh boy, okay. Okay, so instead of going for this option after that very weird interaction, right? Let's say we get this, right? Sometimes it's good to just go for your drive rush option, right? That way it forces them into a situation where they have to guess and then force them into a guess and continue to do so by using your drive gauge and then kill them, right? Just simply doing something that simple puts them into a situation where they have to guess, and it makes it a little easier for you in those situations, right? Especially because you have drive gauge to work with. You should be using it to enforce like stronger plus frames and get to the spaces you want to be in. This was not a hit confirm, he kind of just went for it, but once again, it's because we're not utilizing crouch block. It's a lot of walking back and forth, right? You're walking into spaces, but the thing is that when you're walking into these spaces, you're not really checking or walking in with a button. So what happens is when you walk in like this, it gives him the room to try and check you. So let's suppose when we walk in like this, instead we walk in like this, right? We walk in like this. Number one, that's wild, but right? If we walk in while using a normal, it makes it a little bit harder for him to just kind of, you know, do low forward into EX scissors, right? That's why what you're doing is wrong. Okay? Even if you want to go something like this, right? Even if you want to walk up and do light kick, right? At least you're checking them for trying to press these options. And that's the important thing. Okay, one, in these situations, if we're going to go for it, we should be using EX and not medium. No matter what type level of panic there is, we shouldn't be going for this. So off of these situations, you have to, the onus is on you to know which ranges scissor kick you can punish, but this is definitely looking like one you can. So let's suppose that we're back in this situation again, right? If we're forced to block this, right? we can use our light kick to catch him off guard and then go for the punish here, right? The key part is making sure that we're not letting our opponent get away with something like this, right? Because letting your opponent get away with something like this is really important, okay? Not letting him get away with that, because enforcing your will upon them is the important thing, and making sure that they know they can't do fake stuff upon you. Okay, so we're stuck in the corner. At some point, we're gonna have to take our turn. We're playing super passive, right? So in these cases here where you're trapped in the corner, right? Ideally, we should not be looking to try and DI our way out. We should be looking for opportunities to force them into that mix I mentioned. Because we're not using our low forward drive rush at all, right? So because we're not taking space, or at least checking them with your normals, that's why you're finding yourself in this situation. In these situations here, you ideally should not be trying to panic DI out of it, because if you try to panic DI, as you've seen, your opponent will react, and if they happen to react, you just die here. Provided your opponent has combos. Your opponent does have the combo. So with that said, let me know if you guys still want a homework section. I hope this helps you on your journey to learn Cammy. Any questions?